now I feel like there's things that seem to be either conversations that shouldn't even be conversations. Like, if I feel like I'm not a man, that stops me from being a man. You know, that's not conversation. I can't stop being a man. It's not possible. Doesn't matter what I feel like. That would just be what I feel like. Then I'd be a man who feels like that. Can't stop being me. I can feel differently, but then I'm just me feeling differently. That's fine. You don't have to feel a particular way because you happen to be a man or a woman. You just are a man or a woman if you happen to be a man or a woman. And how you act and feel doesn't change that. That only changes what type of man or woman you are, not if you are one. There doesn't have to be a better or worse type of man or woman. Or if you act like that and you're a man, that's good. But if you act like that and you're a man, then that's bad. There's no such thing as that. There's just people's preferences. People can not like what type of a man I am. People can like what type of a man I am. It's got all to do with it, whether or not I'm a man. The idea that you would twist people's own personal feelings about themselves and convince them that because they happen to feel a particular way, that means they're not them. They're not something. They're not themselves. You're in the wrong thing. You're in the wrong body. You're telling them there's something wrong with them. The answer to, am I born in the wrong body because I feel different, is no. And the way you feel is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. That's it. That's the answer. It's not hard. It's not deep. It doesn't require months and months of therapy. There's nothing wrong with the way you feel if you're a boy and you don't feel very manly. So what? You don't have to. Did someone tell you you have to? Because you don't. So there's nothing wrong with that. And if you feel what we call girly, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not meant to not feel girly if you happen to be a boy. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel. Well, it's not that you're allowed to feel, you just are feeling whatever you feel. Whether you're allowed or not. There's no such thing as allowed. Are you allowed to feel like that? What do you mean allowed? Question's ridiculous. There would have to be some way of stopping you from feeling what you're feeling in order for there to be a way to allow the word allow into the conversation as far as what you're feeling is concerned. But what you're feeling doesn't change something that's true already. Doesn't matter what I feel like, I've got two eyes. Doesn't matter what I feel like. Feelings don't have anything to do with how many eyes I've got. Feelings don't have anything to do with whether a man or a woman. Feelings have got something to do with how you feel. If you feel sad, you feel sad. You could say that you are sad, but you are a human being. That's what you actually are. You're not like made out of sadness all of a sudden. Oh, he stopped being a human being made out of all the biology and stuff, and he turned into pure sadness because he happened to be feeling sad. Because we said, whoa, he's sad, isn't he? Yeah, he is experiencing the feeling of sadness, but he's not sad. He's a person who happens to be sad. So that's the same as being a man who happens to feel girly. Great, you're a man who feels girly. You want to act like a girl? Well, I think you're insulting them by suggesting there is such a thing. But you'd be suggesting that being a girl is a behavioural set, and it's not. It's got nothing to do with how the person behaves. So how can you act like a girl? A huge point of our cultural progression over the last century, especially, has been that a woman is a woman even if she doesn't dress like a woman. A woman is a woman even if she's not dainty and sweet and ladylike. She's still a f***ing woman because she can't not be. If she wants to shave her head and act all rough, and she's still a f***ing woman. What? So where do you get off all of a sudden saying, well, actually, if you feel a bit different, suddenly you're not? What? You're lying. You're lying about what it means. You're not lying about what you feel. You feel whatever you feel. But you're lying about what that feeling means. It doesn't mean that you've stopped being what you are and now you're suddenly something else. No, it just means that you're feeling whatever you're feeling and you're still exactly what you are because you can't not be. Trapped in the wrong body. Trapped in it. What's trapped in it? Your metaphysical consciousness. Really? Your metaphysical consciousness is trapped in the wrong body? Please tell me that that's not the underpinnings of if I feel it, then it's true. If I feel like my metaphysical consciousness is trapped inside the wrong body, then it's true that not only is my metaphysical consciousness trapped inside the wrong body, but my metaphysical consciousness has a metaphysical aspect to it. Now, I only just finished proving to you why that's now just at least a reasonable postulation, but locked down and you know that you're in the wrong body. Whoop, 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 whoop. You're way out. You're not even on a limb anymore. You're not even on a limb anymore, being all the way out there. If I feel it, then it's true. Whoa. And you're telling people there's something wrong with them, or you're agreeing with them when they, unfortunately, misdiagnose themselves as having something wrong with them, rather than them just having feelings that don't align with what either they've been told or they've come to think themselves are the things that they're meant to have if they happen to be a boy or a girl, and they don't seem to have them, therefore they must not be one. Someone's told them that that's a reasonable determination. If you happen to not feel this particular set of things, then you're not it. That's a lie. Whoever told you that was lying to you. If I run a race and I feel like I won it, but I came fifth, I didn't win. How you feel can match reality, but it can also not match reality. How you feel can be wrong. It's possible for you to be scared and there be nothing to be scared of. That's fine. You're not bad for having a feeling that happened to not be incorrect. It just happens to not be incorrect. If you think there's someone in the house and there's not, the feeling you had was real, but it was inaccurate. That doesn't mean there is someone in the house just because you happen to have felt like there was. If there is someone in the house, well done, your feeling was correct this time, but it's only correct when it's correct. So to feel like you're in the wrong body would need to be correct before we could say, okay, now let's start running with that. I don't phone 999 and say my house is on fire just because I happen to feel like it's on fire. Because trust me, they'll be very annoyed when they turn up if you say, well, it felt like it was on fire to me. What? Didn't you check? No, I just felt like it. Oh, right. Well, I thought it was true because I felt like it was. I had a really, really strong feeling. I was, God, it was such a strong feeling. My house is on fire. I was an hour away from home. I thought I'd just better phone 999 anyway and say, my house is on fire. Oh, bloody hell. Wouldn't make sense, would it? Of course it wouldn't. Because feeling something doesn't make it true. It being true makes it true. Every single person, almost every single person who has any feelings that would be considered alternative. I won't go through the spectrum, that would be considered alternative. Your feelings are absolutely fine, and they're probably exactly normal. Where normal is a weird average. Because there is no robotic normal, as we all know. So if every single person is weird, and we're going to say there is such a thing as normal, well, normal is probably a bit weird, isn't it? In your own quirky way. Whatever way that is, it might be a fashion style. It might not. Might be a behavioural thing. Might be a thing you're into. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's nothing wrong with you. Are you a girl who doesn't feel like a girl? That's absolutely fine. You don't have to feel like anything. You don't have to feel like anything. Therefore, however you feel isn't wrong. It just doesn't change you. You're just you that feels like that. That's fine. That's it. That's it. Brilliant. Nothing wrong at all. As soon as you start saying, the way I feel makes this giant change, and I'm no longer what I am, I'm now something else. Okay, well, we're going to need to check if that's true. Are you actually changed into... No, you haven't. You're still the same you that was... Your biology is still the same, because that's what boy and girl means, biology. Just because you can say something is a bit boyish doesn't mean the word boy isn't male. The only way boyish can even exist is if boy is already its own thing in order for something to be a bit like it. You can't be a little bit like a boy unless there is such a thing as a boy to be a little bit like. And you can't be nothing like a boy unless there is such a thing as a boy to be nothing like. There's nothing wrong with you. And whoever's told you there is wrong. Yeah? Wrong. It doesn't matter why they're wrong. I'm not saying they're all bad people lying to you. Some of them are, by the way. Some of the people who are what you might call the forerunners of your movement are lying about the philosophical underpinnings of your framework. They're lying about it. They know reality is not decided simply by what you want or feel. There's a hard reality that we all share that can't be subjective. When I walk into a building and I walk through its front door, everybody else sees the door the same place and has to interact with it in the same way, and it doesn't matter what they feel like, they're going to have to walk through the door. How they feel won't change where the door is. How they feel won't change what their biology is. How they feel will just change how they feel. That's fine, because you're allowed to feel however you want. You're just not allowed to act however you want. There are some fairly simple, to be honest, rules. Don't purposely hurt each other. Don't purposely force each other to do things they don't want to do. If we make rules as a collective, those rules are basically there. Now, you can argue them. You just can't pretend they've got no reason for being there. We normally have either separate bathrooms, don't we? Or, oh, when we're on a plane it's not. Yeah, but you're in there on your own. Fully communal toilet and bathing is rare outside of privacy in your own home and families and all that. Yeah? When you're at home, you have a shower or a bath on your own. You use the toilet on your own. But there's other people around you and you might not need to lock the door because they're all family and stuff, yeah? But when you're in school, the boys and the girls don't shower together. That's not because of being prude. It's not because we're worried they might all get too excited during their puberty years. It's not even so as that the bad things that might happen might not happen. Yeah? It's not even to protect against that. All those things are true, and all those things are, you know, things of it as well. But the reason is because people don't want to. People don't want to get undressed in front of groups of the opposite sex publicly. They don't want to. It's that simple. Most of the time, they don't even want to have to do it in front of people of the same sex. Yeah, but needs must. We can't all have our own private changing room in school, you know. But we separate along sex for all manner of different things, for all manner of different reasons. Some of them might be a bit silly, and some of them might be very, very serious. But they're not just made up for the fun of it. Very few of the social things that are rules, not just norms, because a norm doesn't have to be followed, so we don't need to argue about them. Only the rules need to be followed, like sports, because otherwise it's cheating. It's cheating. When categories are made for fairness reasons, and then you try and cross the category and pretend that that's now not unfair, but the whole reason the category exists is because of to promote fairness, because otherwise it would be unfair. It would just be unfair. Bronze, silver and gold would... not even have any argument. It's not even an argument. There isn't anybody who knows what they're talking about that thinks sports would be anything other than a landslide where the sex is mixed in basically everything, but obviously not everything. You're telling everybody that there's something wrong with them, and there's not. And they're believing that they're not what they are because they've been told that in order to be what they are, they would have to be acting in a particular way, and they don't feel like that, so they must be something else. What? No, that just means you don't feel like that. There isn't anybody in the entire activist, academic, professional, all the way up, no matter how many letters they've got after their name, that will be able to argue with me on the psychological underpinnings of their entire movement and how wrong it is to suggest that there's anything wrong or in the wrong body about the way that someone feels. It doesn't prove anything that they say it proves. Everybody can feel exactly what they're feeling, and everything they're saying it means is false. They think it's a trick question when these people who've been making the videos asking, what is a woman? It gets labelled a trick question. That's a gotcha question. Actually, yeah, it is, yeah. But, you know, that's not why it's being said. It's being said because it's supposed to demonstrate that simply by the fact that they ask the question, what type of woman are you? Are you a this woman or a that woman? The woman bit's not in question. It's that simple. Trans women are women. It's not possible. They would just be called women. The reason they're not called women is because they're not women. It's not me being mean to them. That's like a triangle getting upset because I said it's not a square. I'm sorry the triangle's upset, but it's not my fault it's upset. All I did was point out that it's not a square. It feels like a square. Brilliant. I'm not saying it can't feel like a square. It can even wear the costume of a square if it wants, but it'll still be a triangle wearing a square's costume. And I'm not doing anything wrong by saying that's true. And as long as the triangle doesn't try and pretend it's not wearing a costume and admits it's wearing a costume, well then there's nothing wrong, is there? But if it tries to force everybody to say that it's not wearing a costume and it really is a square, well, that's tyranny. You're trying to force people to say things that you know yourself aren't true. Just because you feel like a square doesn't mean you are one. I feel pretty square. Do I look square? I'm pretty sure that with the truth, every single person who's suffering from gender dysphoria could be cured and not need to stop acting the way they're acting, other than the bits where they expect everybody to believe them. That's the only bit you have to stop. You have to stop trying to tell everybody that they just have to believe you, because you can't even demonstrate what you're saying is true. Never mind tell everybody else they should just believe you on a whim. You can't even demonstrate what you're saying is true at all, any of it. The best you've got is, I feel like. Great. No one said you don't. It's just what you're saying that feeling means. That's the bit everyone's talking about. Not the fact that you feel it. You're allowed to feel it. You're just not allowed to tell us that your feeling means that triangles are suddenly squares. Because feelings haven't got anything to do with triangles and squares. It doesn't matter what squares feel like. That's not what makes them square. And they can't be bad for whatever they feel, because there's no rules about what they feel. So a triangle can feel like a square. There's nothing wrong with that. It can like all square things as well. There's nothing wrong with that. It can be the biggest fan of squares you've ever seen in your life, mate. There's nothing wrong with that. All the other triangles can go, now, mate, we thought you'd be like more supporting all those triangles because you're one. Well, I like the squares, so I cheer for them. Oh, well, fair enough. All the triangles cannot like that you're doing it, and you're still not doing anything wrong. They've just got an opinion about it, which is you wearing makeup and you acting girly and all those things that you want to do because you love it. And I'm not taking out the fact that you're doing it. I'm acknowledging it, acknowledging that you genuinely feel like either that's you or you like it or that's the way you want to be or whatever. What I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't mean what you think it means. It's just your own preference. It's who you are. I'm not trying to say it's a preference to belittle it. I'm trying to say I didn't choose to like the taste vanilla, but liking vanilla is still a preference. I didn't choose to be heterosexual. Liking women is still a preference though, because technically that's what they're called, preferences. It's not belittling it. It's telling you technically that everything you feel is perfectly normal, because there is no such thing as normal when it comes to how you feel. There might be a normal when it comes to average behaviours, but that's only a normal as far as averages are concerned. It's not a rule. Men don't have to act a particular way. There's just lots of common ways they act. Well, fine. But they don't have to, do they? No. Right, so it doesn't matter how unmanly you act. You're not breaking the rules, because there is no rule. The only way your entire movement could be real is if there was a rule to be broken that would signify you're not part of that anymore. But there is no rule that you could break, and there is no way you can stop being what you are. I'm pretty sure the people who sign off on your mental health literature and which stuff makes it into the mainstream doctors and what they're saying to you and your therapists and what books they're getting their ideas from, I'm pretty sure it's all being signed off by people who either don't think about what they're doing or are just doing it for money and happy to be lying to you all because of how much money there is in the mental health field, basically. They're lying to you all, telling you there's more wrong with you than there is. Because there might be some things wrong with you, you know, we've all got wrong with us, haven't we? You know. I think I'm actually the truth. I don't care how crazy that makes me. There isn't a psychological evaluator in the world that can prove I'm not, and it's harmless, so there's nothing can happen to me because of my crazy. I'm just not demanding everybody believe it, unlike the religions, or you lot. You're acting just the same as them. Really, really just the same as them as well, because you're telling kids that you're right, and you don't even know if you're right. You don't even know if you're right. The whole point of your entire movement is confusion, that's right. I'm not sure if I'm this or that. Oh, I'm a bit this and a bit that. That's fine. But don't go running around acting like you've got some locked down philosopher that it's time to start teaching kids. You know? Today we're going to learn about electricity. Here's some batteries and some light bulbs and some simple boards, and we're going to play about with it. All right, great, yeah. And tomorrow we're going to learn how if you feel a particular way, you stop being a boy. Wait, what? Who said that? Well, some people reckon it's true. Oh, I thought we had that argument about religion and how you can't teach it in the science class. You can have religion in school, it just has to be called religion. Can't call it academic. The whole of gender theory is a lie. The whole of it. Not that there isn't cultural effects on norms as far as interacting and behaving is concerned, as it relates to boys being boys, girls being girls, and how boys and girls interact and or the differences between them as far as their behaviour is concerned. There's lots and lots of that. That's just got absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you actually are a boy or a girl. The social stuff's got nothing to do with that. That's got to do with what's expected of a boy or a girl. Well, that's fine, they can expect those things, but that's not rules, that's them just expecting it. Well, I didn't expect you to take up that job, seeing as you're a this. Well, that's fine, you didn't expect it. I didn't know you expecting it mattered. It's not possible for you to be the thing that you're saying you are. The feelings that you're having are the feelings that you're having. They just don't do all the extra bits that you think they do. Just because you happen to feel it doesn't mean for everyone else it's true. This needs to be talked about properly. No one's talking about it properly. I understand both sides. I understand the vast majority of people that would fall under the bracket of being a bit alternative as far as all this stuff is concerned. I'm not fucking lying or anything close to it. They're having the feelings that they're having, and they've been lied to about the philosophical and conceptual underpinnings of it all. Lied to. And I can prove it to you. I can prove to you personally, if you happen to be watching this and you feel like that, I can prove to you personally that there's nothing wrong with you, and what you feel does not mean the claim that your movement has claimed it means. You've adopted that because you think it makes sense, because what you feel is what you feel, and how they've interpreted what you feel seems to make sense. But they've started from a point that is so unbelievably based on thin air that the fact they've been allowed to build anything from it is an insult. If I feel it, then it's true. Everybody knows that's not true. Everybody knows that's not a true statement. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's true. It means it's true you're feeling it. But like I said, if I feel like my house is on fire, it's only true if my house happens to be on fire. Feeling it doesn't matter. My house could be on fire and I wouldn't have a clue. Does that mean it's not on fire because I feel like it's not on fire? In what universe do you think your thoughts go anywhere outside your own head? to change anything outside of your own head. Someone's told you that the way you feel about yourself can affect other things in the universe. It can't. It can't. It can't. There's no magic. All the different alternative hippie spiritualities and all that sort of stuff, it's all junk. They're talking about the same thing the religions are talking about, exactly the same thing. They're just using different terminology for it and framing it differently. Talking about Gaia instead of God. It's the same, haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about, got no way of determining whether or not the thing they're talking about exists, have never had any communication with the thing they're saying exists, and have got no way of knowing what it wants, means, or thinks. It's exactly the same rubbish claims, all the way up and down. Even if bits of what they say happen to be nice and good. They're just nice and good bits. They've got nothing to do with the validity of their claims about where their information's coming from, or whether or not the spiritualistic thing they happen to be framing is real or not. Doesn't mean a goddamn thing. They're just pretending that they know. They might not have been lying when they first started thinking it. They're lying when they say that they've got any way of knowing if what they're saying is even 1% true, never mind 95% true. So I genuinely mean it when I say that if there's anybody who feels like that in that sort of alternative sort of way, if you were to approach me and we was to have a conversation, whatever you're not liking and or unhappy about or struggling with or finding it difficult to properly describe or define as far as your feelings are concerned and your internalized frame is concerned, talk to me about it and I'll explain it exactly where it's coming from and how there's nothing wrong with it and how it doesn't mean all the twisted weird up shit that makes you feel like there might be something wrong with you or you're in the wrong body. It doesn't mean any of that. There's nothing wrong with you. Even if you happen to have some thoughts in your head that aren't correct, that's just incorrect. That you're not broken. You're not broken. If you're a girl that wants to be a footballer and a lumberjack, or you're a boy that wants to be a ballet dancer and wear makeup, you're not broken. Anyone who ever tells you you are is wrong and broken for telling you that you are. They're more broken than you. And anyone who tells children that's true, I don't even know if I can let you off with believing your own crap. Because you know that it's flimsy enough that you shouldn't be teaching kids it's absolutely true. You know that. Super complex stuff. And you're going to just boil it all down to, well, he doesn't like blue, so he must not be a boy after all. What? You're going to tell kids that? And you think you're protected because what? You feel like there's a stereotype boys are meant to be doing, and if they're not doing it, they must not be one. Weirdly, the weird reverse claim that you often seem to be making is other people have unfairly, culturally created a stereotype of men, and you say that they claim that men have to act a particular way, and so you're just not what they have said the box is, so you're just not inside their box. Well, now you're saying that you've stopped being a boy simply because you don't fit somebody else's description of how boys are supposed to act. You're not even saying you've gone wrong in your own description of how they're supposed to act. Which one is it? Do you feel like you're in the wrong body, or do you feel like you don't fit the box that other people have drawn that says what's meant to be in your body? You don't feel like that. Well, you're not supposed to feel like what they reckon. You're supposed to feel exactly what you feel, because otherwise there is no such thing as the word supposed to feel. Because you're not supposed to feel anything. You feel whatever you feel. And if the feeling you're having has got something to do with the external world, well, it can be verified whether it's accurate or not. It doesn't change whether you had the feeling, it just changes if your feeling is based on truth or not. Because if you feel like your spouse is cheating on you, you might be right, but you might be wrong. Your feeling has got nothing to do with whether they are or aren't. They either are or aren't, and your feeling is either accurate or it isn't. Your feeling isn't what decides it though, is it? If you think the bus is going to be late, your feeling doesn't decide whether it's late. The events of the world decide whether it's late. Your feeling either matches reality or it doesn't. Oh, it was on time. Oh, well, felt like it was going to be late for some reason. That's your entire movement. You thought the bus was going to be late, and when it was late, you thought that your thoughts are what made it late. Sorry, but you know, it can't be more the wrong way round. It can't be more the wrong way round. I'm questioning whether or not I should even release this video, because I feel like the subject I'm talking about is so misunderstood by basically everybody that's the loudest advocates for it. They don't misunderstand their own feelings, they misunderstand the consequences of their feelings, and they misunderstand all of the philosophical underpinnings that are telling them what their feelings mean. It's like you've gone to someone who describes dreams. They've told you that, oh, well, you had a dream about that, did you? Well, I know what that means. That means this. And you've just gone, well, that must be exactly what it means, and it's not possible anything else, and I don't need to check it now. And if I had a dream about winning the lottery, then that's it. I'm just going to sell my house and buy lottery tickets, because the guy told me that my dream meant that. That's basically what you're doing. I feel like this. Someone told me that feeling means this. Well, I'm just going to say that that's what it means. And anyone who questions me must be horrible. They're being horrible to me. They're not just instantly believing that when I say I feel like I'm a square, even though I'm a triangle, they're just not instantly believing me just because they're mean. Really, you think the reason they're questioning you is because they're mean, or because what you're saying is so weird and makes no sense at all that it needs to be questioned and should be questioned, especially when you're saying there's something wrong with you, mate. You know, if you're my friend and you come to me and you tell me that the way you're feeling, let's say you're a friend I know in my life, I've got a lot of friends I've met in my life, known in my life, been very close with a lot of people, and been semi-close in a weird way with a lot of people, to the point where, even though we didn't see each other often, we were close enough that we could have very, very close conversations, were we alone or something like that. If any of them had ever said to me, oh, I feel like I don't want to wear the normal clothes for my thing, I want to wear the other clothes, I'd have said, all right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that means I might not be a boy anymore. What? No, how would you think it means that, mate? What do you, no, yeah, it feels wrong, because, you know, I don't want to act like a boy and that, and I'm not into all that stuff, and, you know, I'm into all this other stuff, and I feel like it's, you know, and the way I feel, I just feel more like a girl than a boy. Okay, cool. Right. That's fine. I get you, mate. Absolutely, I get you. As in, I understand what you're saying, and what you're saying makes sense to me, and it doesn't sound weird. It sounds unusual, but it doesn't sound weird in a pigs flying sort of a way. It doesn't sound fantastical. It just sounds a bit unusual. Well, that's the same as a lot of different unusual behaviours and feelings and preferences that humans can have. There's small percentages that aren't insignificant, but they're still small, because it's still rare, at the end of the day, of quite a handful of different proclivities and preferences. That's fine. Doesn't stop them from being what they are. Gay men are still men. Under your guys' framework. Are they? Sounds to me like you guys are insulting them in the same way as they were being insulted in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, being called girls. Seems like that's what you guys are starting to try and do all over again. course, somehow your weird cognitive dissonance won't allow you to see the conceptual equivalence across your entire family. That's why you have so many internal squabbles. That's why feminism's bashing up against it in a lot of different ways now. Because when you say something that's absolutely the opposite of the truth, if I feel like I'm not Brian anymore, I'm not Brian anymore, that's the opposite of the truth. My feelings can't ever stop me from being me. It's not possible for them to stop me from being me. I just always am going to be this Brian who's in this body because that's me, and I'm going to have the appendages that I've got, and I'm going to have the genetics that I've got, and that's that. And my feelings can't change any of that. Just the same way as my feelings can't change my hair colour. It's built on lies. Do you know when you really, 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 really look at it, and you go back the decades and decades, and you look at these psychological and/or mind and consciousness movements, the enlightenment, the awakenings, subjectivity. When you allow the idea that everything's subjective, it's not, so that's that. But when you allow the idea that reality can be subjective, it's not possible. The reason I'm able to say it's not possible is because reality was happening before I was born. Therefore, I'm not deciding it. I'm not changing it or affecting it. It was already it. 2 + 2 already equaled 4 before I got here. So I don't get to have feelings that will undo that, and I don't have feelings that are responsible for it. The universe was already here before you got here. So how the hell are you and your feelings changing any of it? They're just your feelings inside of you. What's true is already true, long before you. No matter how hard you try to undo. And tell me that just because you feel it, it has to be true. So I don't know how to convince you that the philosophy you've been told by all of those people is not true. And even if I be nice and say that none of them are lying, because I think some of them are, I would still want to be able to tell you that it doesn't mean what you think it means. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Being different isn't wrong. If that's the only thing you are, is a bit different, well, everyone's different. You seem to think that the stereotypes are rules. They're not. They're just commonalities that have been noticed over time. No one's trying to force men to be into football. Men are just into competitiveness. And they like high skill. Both of those two things together means the best competing is liked. And that doesn't matter if it's football or business. Seems to be a common thing for men to like high-skilled competitiveness. Whether watching it, being into it, being fascinated by it, studying it, or taking part in it and competing. They love it. Seem to. Absolutely love it. But not all of them. And they definitely don't all love the same type of competing in the same type of way and competing over the same thing. They definitely don't all share all of that. It's just a common thing for them to enjoy competing or enjoy watching high-level competing. It's not a rule, so you can't break it. So if you don't like that, that doesn't mean you're not in the group, because that's not one of the things that qualifies you for being in the group, because there is no qualification for being in the group other than already being in the group, because you can't get out of the group once you're in it, because it's not a group. It's a distinction. It's a matter of fact. You're not in the group of having two eyes. That's not a group of people. It's not a gang that you can be, you know. Yeah, obviously you can lose them. It's not. That makes it even closer. It's even more likely to say that eyes are on a spectrum than it is to say that sex is on a spectrum. Gender's on a spectrum. Gender, under that framework, gender is simply how you're acting. Well, that's got more to do with. It's got nothing to do with it. That's only got to do with social stereotypes. They're not rules. Never have been. Oh, they're advertising and everyone tries to force us to. No, they don't. They just advertise what's common because that's going to hit the most people. The reason stereotypes get noticed and thrown back at us is because they're common. Why was so much advertising directed at males had lovely women in it? Oh, they're trying to make men like. No, they're not trying to make men like. No, that's the wrong way around. You're the men already like. Yeah, they already. Sorry to start giving all insider information, lads. I don't mean to tell them all the insider information, but secretly, everybody, I'm gonna have to break it to you. Men already liked lovely, sexy, whatever women. Men already liked that. Big modern advertising companies didn't work that out. Women's oldest profession worked it out. Now have a word with yourself about who's responsible